It's been nearly 2 months, and finally, Joe Biden has addressed the nation. You'd have to go back to Jimmy Carter for a president who waited this long, but still, he hasn't given a State of the Union address or an address to the joint session of Congress, nor has he given a press conference, which apparently some people are saying is like a 100-year record. Because at the very least, the person who wins the presidency comes out and says, I'll take your questions. Joe Biden doesn't do it. A lot of people are assuming it's probably just because the dude's tired, probably has no idea what's going on, and Kamala Harris is the actual president. Well, you see, because we are a nation that loves drama, but also I think there's some fair criticisms here, Joe Biden is getting slammed over the speech he gave last night because, man, it was a me kind of thing, huh? I actually don't care all that much about whether Joe Biden gives credit to Donald Trump. I think he should. And there are many conservatives that are saying Joe Biden made it sound like it was all because of him in less than 2 months that the vaccine rollout is going to sweep across the nation, and we may see an early return to normal. I think it's fair to say Joe Biden could have at least preached unity by saying that the previous administration did a tremendous job with Operation Warp Speed, setting us up for this amazing victory. And with that, by May 1st, I believe Joe Biden is saying essentially every adult is going to be able to get vaccinated. And many states and jurisdictions are now easing restrictions, even some blue states. This is what's getting really interesting. Now, sure, I'll talk about a little bit of the drama because everybody wants to know what Joe Biden said. But I'd just like to point out to everybody, maybe it's impossible. Maybe we're a drama nation, huh? Maybe I'm in the wrong business. How about I just do like a reality vlog where I fight with my neighbors? Because apparently you probably get way more views. I love it. They're like, Tim Pool's a grifter. Also, please, dude. I'd go to a skate park and then just get into a fight with some guy over whose turn it was to do a backside, 50-50 or something. And then you probably don't understand skate references. Anyway, the point is, people just want the drama. They want to complain about, Joe Biden didn't say the right thing. Okay. I get it. I do. It's important when it comes to our elections, we understand who did the good job. And Joe Biden now, with the ability to address the nation, is saying it was him. I guess the funny thing that I saw was in my email box, however Donald Trump got my email, was basically a tweet. Okay, it's not a real tweet, but it was like Trump emailed me and he was like, I want everybody to know who got the vaccine, who made it possible. And I'm like, okay, Trump, I guess it's important. It is. It may be silly, it may be petty, it may be dumb drama, but I do think it's important that people realize it was the Trump administration that did this. So look, when we come to our next elections, you keep that in mind. And it's a factor in who you will vote for in the future. That's why it's important we at least highlight some of the criticisms of Joe Biden. Here's a story from the Daily Mail. The biggest scam is Biden taking credit for the vaccine. President is slammed for ignoring Trump's success with Operation Warp Speed and claiming he is responsible for speeding up the rollout. They say, in his address to the nation on Thursday night, the new president proclaimed that all American adults will be eligible to receive the COVID vaccine as of May 1st because of all the work he had done in partnering with manufacturers of the shot. Yeah, he said basically, he's like, we're going to be on a war footing. And I mean it. The work we're doing. Yeah. I get it. Hannity led the outrage, stating on his Fox News show, Joe, you want unity. Why don't you just thank Donald Trump? You want us to all get along, you say. No Trump, no vaccine. Joe, stop trying to take credit for something. Frankly, you had nothing to do with nothing. I'd like to just stress Donald Trump absolutely loved taking credit for everything. That's why I look at these stories and I'm like, don't make me defend Joe Biden. It's the last thing I want to do. I'm more interested in defending Trump, and I'm still not particularly interested in being forced to do that either. But Trump loved slapping his name on things. All right. So Donald Trump puts his name on the stimulus checks, and then people were tweeting like, my boy Donald just, got me 2 bills or whatever they were saying. And now you've got, I guess it's only 200. I don't know what the slang term is. Ask the kids. And Joe Biden was like, I'm not going to put my name on this because it's not about me. And I'm like, either way, it was identical, right? This is the point. Joe Biden coming out and saying, my name will not be on the checks was the exact same as Trump saying his name would be on the checks. It was a PR move. He could have said literally nothing and minded his own business. Okay. But it was a point to be like, I'm not Trump. Let everyone know how different I am. Okay. Meanwhile, Katie Pavlich told her 807,000 Twitter followers, Biden taking credit for the vaccine is just absolutely astonishing, but not surprising. Who let him out of the basement, says Terrence K. Williams. Joe Biden is taking credit for things Trump made happen in his horrible presidential address. Operation Warp Speed, created by Trump, is the reason the rollout of the vaccine is successful. And that's just true. That is just true. Well, Biden is trying to say, like we're working with these, we're working with these vaccine pharmaceutical companies. It was Donald Trump. He said 2 months ago, the country didn't have nearly enough vaccine supply to vaccinate all or anywhere near all the American public, but soon we will. We've been working with vaccine manufacturers Pfizer, Moderna, Johnson & Johnson to manufacture and purchase hundreds of millions of doses of 3 safe, effective vaccines. Now, at the direction and with the assistance of my administration, Johnson & Johnson is working together with a competitor, Merck, to speed up and increase the capacity to manufacture new Johnson & Johnson vaccines, which is one shot. In fact, just yesterday I announced, and I met with the CEOs of both companies, I announced our plan to buy an additional 100 million doses of Johnson & Johnson vaccines. But Biden made no mention of warp speed, nor of the fact that Trump had already agreed to buy enough doses for 200 million adults from Pfizer and Moderna. He had also agreed to buy 100 million more from Johnson & Johnson once it received authorization from the FDA. That order would have effectively covered all American adults by the beginning of summer. Donald Trump literally already did this. There are a lot of things to complain about Trump. I can already hear the squeals from the anti-Trump crowd and the establishment libs saying, this is all Biden. Shut up. Trump is miserable. I'm like, dude, why you make me defend these people? Okay. Donald Trump gets credit for warp speed. End of story. Biden could have won this very simply, and it's petty drama, but Biden could have simply been like, Donald Trump did tremendous work with Operation Warp Speed. We're eternally grateful that while his administration may not have been perfect in response to the COVID vaccine, and there are many issues surrounding it, that we at least had the Operation Warp Speed leading the charge and getting hundreds of millions of vaccines ready. And now, as my administration is coming in, we have upped the ante. We have now ordered more vaccines, and we will push to get this ahead of schedule by a few months. I just wish we had some real leadership. That's all I can really say. Just some real leadership. Well, check it out. Kayleigh McEnany points out, even the media acknowledges the Trump administration's role in spearheading vaccine development and procurement, but President Biden refuses to say the truth. Part of me just says, I don't care. I'm not surprised. It's politics. Donald Trump wanted his name on checks. Joe Biden doesn't want to give credit to Trump. Fine. I just think it was a great opportunity. I do. I'm not going to pretend like Biden is the devil because of this. There's other things to criticize him for, like, bombing Syria. And of course, Trump also fired 59 Tomahawk missiles at Syria. That's the kind of thing that should be criticized. You don't need to lie about the person when they're doing bad things. Now, it's true. Biden didn't give Trump credit. I don't care all that much, but I do think it was a missed opportunity. We need the unity right now. I think that's a fair point from Hannity. We want people to come together. And I think if Joe Biden reached out with that olive branch and just said, to those who supported the president and to the president himself, this really did help us get prepared and get this vaccine ready faster than, we've seen in history. The development of a vaccine this quickly is unprecedented, and it was with the previous administration's leadership. Let's just get some unity, bro. It's a great opportunity. I just don't think he cares all that much. I don't think the Democrats care all that much about unity. In fact, I think they like disunity. I think they like divisiveness because it's us versus them. It's left versus right. It's, this person is far left. This person is far right. It's the weirdest thing to me. I noticed, you may have noticed some ridiculous rage bait garbage drama articles that seem to make no sense that have come out about me recently. And I just see people say things like, Tim Pool is, complaining about Mr. Potato Head, because they took away his gender. And I'm like, do you actually watch my videos? I actually said it was the stupidest thing in the world, and I don't care about the Mr. Potato Head thing. It's like people don't actually watch anything. They just want to be tribal. They want to be angry, and it is a damn shame. I'll tell you this. I like to be nice. I try to be nice. So for Joe Biden, you know what? He's saying he wants to get this out by May 1st. We were looking at, end of June before. It's a little bit, kicked up a notch. Fantastic. Here's what I'll say. I'll say, Donald Trump, thank you so much for Operation Warp Speed. I'm excited to hear this. We're hearing COVID restrictions are being eased up, and the lockdowns were a problem in the first place. We got the Wall Street Journal saying it, but I'll give Biden credit for pushing things a little bit further. I don't want to just be angry and negative towards people all the time. If Biden does something good, I want to say thank you. And him coming out, he could have done a better job. But hey, He's done something. There's a positive here. AOC went to Texas. She raised millions of dollars to help people. That is fantastic. That is awesome. Thank you so much, AOC. I know that I've been critical and I've been probably mean, but you deserve credit for doing good. I don't care what the intentions are. You know, they say, oh, AOC was just trying to one-up Ted Cruz. Oh, no. Could you imagine if politicians were like, I'm gonna best you, my political rival, by helping more poor people? When Scott Pressler goes and cleans up trash, I'm like, he's earning points for Trump. Good. He deserves them. He's cleaning up cities and being a nice guy. And AOC is going to Texas and helping people. Good. She deserves points for helping the poor and helping people who are in serious jeopardy. Joe Biden deserves some credit for pushing this a little bit more, ordering more of the vaccine. Good. I'm glad to see it. Absolutely. I'm very critical of the Democrats because I think essentially if you cause the problem, it's one thing when you then try to fix it. I'll give you an example. Have you guys seen Independence Day Resurgence? I love the pop culture references. You know this. It's Independence Day too. And basically you got Liam Hemsworth, I think is the actor's name. There's like a structure is falling, but then his ship catches it and he saves the day. And then the commander is like, it's not saving the day when you screwed everything up. It's just covering your own behind. So I'll say this. These Democrats, okay, in many of these places pushed for extreme lockdowns, and it was very, very damaging to this country, to the economy. And now they want bailouts. Check this out. Mitch McConnell trashes Biden's COVID relief package's multi-trillion-dollar Trojan horse. Senate GOP leader charges 2021 comeback not due to far-left legislation. I do not like this man, Mitch McConnell. I am no fan. He's just another corporate political establishment trash, whatever. But there's critical towards Joe Biden's plan. Let me read. The longtime GOP senator for Kentucky and the most powerful Republican on Capitol Hill, speaking Thursday on the floor of the Senate, hours before Biden speaks in his first blah, 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 called it a Trojan horse. We get it. McConnell's comments coming as America marks a year since the pandemic swept the nation, forcing millions to huddle in their homes, served to a pre-buttal, they say. The legislation is about giving the backbone of this nation, the essential workers, the working people who built this country, the people who keep this country going, a fighting chance, Biden said Wednesday. A day later, McConnell had a very different description. This wasn't a bill to finish off the pandemic. It was a multi-trillion-dollar Trojan horse full of bad old liberal ideas. President Biden's own staff keep calling this legislation, quote, the most progressive bill in American history. Hardly the common sense bipartisanship the president promised. There have been many people who are concerned that the money's not actually going to relief for the most part. Biden said $2,000 checks and then said, yeah, but you already got $600. So actually $1,400. He didn't give the progressives what he promised. And more importantly, this bill is viewed for the most part as a bailout for the Democrat states that handled the COVID lockdown miserably. So it's fair to say you don't get credit for something when it was your party that was causing a lot of the damage. Now, like they'll say Republicans didn't lock down and it's their fault. But like, dude, look at Florida. The COVID numbers and it just not comparable to New York. So that's not on Biden necessarily, but the Democratic Party is the Democratic Party. And there's some criticism for those that caucus together and stand together. Certainly, I'm not going to claim AOC and Joe Biden are the same. In fact, I will tell you this. I'm not a fan of the lockdowns. We got this story from the Wall Street Journal. The lockdowns weren't worth it by Philippine Lemoyne. There's a reason no government has done a cost-benefit analysis. The policy would surely fail. I'm no fan of lockdowns. I think the lockdowns should have been strategic and surgical. Instead, they were broad and overbearing. But I will tell you this. You had three positions when it came to the lockdowns. On the right, with Trump supporters, end the lockdowns and protect the vulnerable. We want safety and security for nursing homes, for those who are immunocompromised, special protections for those who might get sick, but let younger people who are safe get back to work. I think that is the reasonable position. However, I also absolutely find it, I find it reasonable that if we are going to have a mandatory hardcore lockdown, that we get people relief checks. And even Donald Trump agreed. Every progressive seems to agree. It's like 85% of the country agreed. So I look to someone like AOC and I look to the progressives. They're Democrats too, but they're very different. They were saying lock everything down hard for 2 months and give everybody a few $1,000s to, or more actually, a couple thousand, more than, I don't know. I think they were saying $1,000 a month. They may have been saying 2,000 because if we're doing a 2-month lockdown, maybe it was like $4,000. But anyway, I digress. That actually makes sense. I think it's borrowing from ourselves so long as the money was literally just, the stimulus package was passed and the money went directly to the American people and industry in a very proportional and respectful way. We did not do that. We took the middle approach from the establishment corporate Dems, where they locked everything down. And you had Republicans who basically just stood there like Mitch McConnell saying, slow down there, Democrats, not really doing anything. That's why I don't like the guy. Partly, there's a lot of reasons I don't like the guy. But instead, what we ended up getting was this half-assed lockdown where, for the most part, everything was shut down, but no one gets any relief. I mean, they got a little bit, but not nearly enough. It's been a year. We're on the anniversary now of the 15 days to slow the spread. It didn't do anything. It didn't work. The progressives were saying, no one go out. No one. They were like literally hardcore shutdown. And I'm like, that's just too authoritarian for me to get behind. I can't do it. I can't. People want to go outside. You can't stop them. There's a First Amendment right to peaceably assemble, to worship, to do what you want to do. And so that did create this kind of mishmash garbage approach you get from the establishment politicians. Doesn't solve the problem. Perhaps they should have realized it was all or nothing. It was either we're going to lock down or we're not going to lock down. And considering we can't lock down because people have rights, well, then to the progressives, I think it's not going to work. And it didn't work. But I don't think they even really cared. They transferred wealth to the wealthiest. It was the largest transfer of wealth in the history of the planet. Mom and pop shops were shut down. And then Walmart and Amazon and all these other businesses, these massive multinational corporations, thrived. And they flourished. And then they gave massive foreign aid. And then they passed now, we're about like $6 trillion being printed and injected into the system. Food prices are going up. General price of goods are going up. Inflation is going up. We are going to reap that detriment. Now, for regular people, regular working people, their savings are being destroyed. That's what happens when you inflate currency. You've got $100 in your bank and it can buy you, a new phone. Well, now in a few months with inflation rising, $100 will not buy you the new phone. You'll have to work harder and make more money and save more money. So it's particularly problematic what they all did. But my point with that is I'd have preferred the progressive approach, which was just a hard shutdown and a couple $1,000 and then boom, we wipe out the virus, than the establishment political approach, which was lock everything down, don't stop the virus, keep it going for a year, and then funnel all of the money to the wealthiest top 0.01% of the country. Yeah, the populists on both sides are not fans of what's going on. But I think the problem ultimately is the drama. It's people want to just scream at Biden. People want to scream at Trump. And the real issues are whether or not we are, getting back to business. Check it out. From CNBC, states lift COVID restrictions, drop mask mandates, and reopen businesses despite warnings from Biden officials. I can only say this. Shut up, Biden. Just shut up. We had this segment recently where even Fauci admitted they don't really have the data on why people who are vaccinated can't travel. And that's that kind of rhetoric coming from Fauci is discouraging people to get the vaccine. There are people who are like, okay, so if I get this, we're good. We can go back to normal. And he's like, nah. Okay, why? Well, apparently in a CNN segment, he was like, well, it's a judgment call. If we don't have the data, it's better to just say no. No. You tell people, look, if everybody gets this, we reach herd immunity and we can get back to business faster than we expected. Biden previously said no new normal till next year. Perhaps he was pulling a big ask. That's where you present someone with something that's crazier. Then when you walk it back, they're like, oh, okay, that's good. So a general big ask would be like, if you want this cup of coffee, it's $20. And they're going to be like, well, that's insane. I'm not paying $20 for a cup of coffee. Okay, $5. Oh, okay, $5. That's reasonable. Meanwhile, the coffee is actually only worth like $2. But coming down from 20, they're actually like, oh, wow, now I'm getting a deal, right? 75% off. That's what Biden does. You're not going to see normal until this time next year. I shouldn't say this. Now he's coming out saying, we did it, everyone, May 1st. All right, sure. We shouldn't have been hard locked down as it was, but we're starting to see these states are opening. Biden saying, no, don't do it. Well, too bad. In Minnesota, Governor Walz saying significant rollback of COVID restrictions is coming Friday. This is, I believe, it's moderately a blue state. And then we have Maryland. Hogan's decision to reopen Maryland surprised local officials and business leaders. Good. It's about time. I personally believe that many of these Democrats exploited the crisis. I do. I think Republicans are the Republican Party, feckless. Donald Trump certainly was bold and wanted to do a lot of things, but he was just inexperienced in the political space, hired on a lot of really dumb and bad people. And so you ended up with a kind of chaotic administration. Now you have the Democratic Party. See, they exploited this. They're exploiting the crime waves. They're pushing for gun control. It's like it's what they do. Never let a good crisis go to waste, they say. I mean, they as in everybody, essentially, anyone who wants to exploit the system. Well, they locked their states down. I mean, I understand Hogan is a Republican in Maryland, and Maryland's a blue state. But it's these blue states that did this for the most part. Some red states did lock down, don't get me wrong. But we saw South Dakota, Florida, they didn't. Now Texas is completely reopened. They're being criticized for doing so, but they should have done it a long time ago. All I can really say is this. Let's keep in mind perspective. Who started the lockdowns and why? Maybe it wasn't nefarious. Maybe it was. I think they were exploiting a crisis. At this point, they're starting to end the restrictions. The vaccine is going to be rolled out. So I will give credit for those things that are good. But I will also wag the finger because I know what started all of this. I'm not going to simply be like, you caused the problem, but you solved it. Yay, you're a hero. I'm going to be like, thank you for fixing and cleaning up the mess created by government. The Wall Street Journal says the lockdown wasn't worth it. And a lot of other people, a lot of other news outlets and columnists and opinion writers and pundits have said similar things. It should have been strategic and surgical. We didn't do it. Maybe that's our fault. We think we can get a perfect system. We all think we have the answers, but it doesn't work that way. A monarch wouldn't rule necessarily better. Look at the UK. They lock down like crazy and they have a monarch, even though they defer a lot of power to, for the most part, the prime minister and parliament. But various forms of government didn't handle this all that well. I think some countries were interesting. But at any rate, I'm glad to see that we may be getting back to normal very, very soon, maybe by like mid-May. States are already reopening. Biden's going to get the vaccine rolled out. Lots of people are going to get it. And let me tell you, my friends, I think vaccines are fantastic. They're wonderful advents of technology that have allowed us to basically triumph over nature in a certain capacity. What will end up happening is that a lot of people are going to get the vaccine, and that will create herd immunity. And a lot of people won't get the vaccine for good reason. Be honest, food allergies, pregnancies, and things like that. Or just, some people might just be negligent to a certain degree or just not care or not want to get it. And then it won't matter because herd immunity will take care of the rest. And there it is. So hopefully by mid-May, this is the end and things are looking, more optimistic and we can get back to business and people can start, bringing their lives back. But I think we need to point out there are many people whose lives are irreparably damaged no matter what happens. So what do? After everything that was done in these blue states, like in California, in these big cities where people's lives were destroyed, they're not getting those things back. So what do? I don't know, my friends. I don't know. And honestly, I blame the Democratic Party for the most part. These are not Republican areas that did this. There's guilty individuals in the Republican side as well, but that's all I can really say on that matter. I'll leave it there. Next segment's coming up at 1 p.m. on this channel. Thanks for hanging out, and I will see you all then.